My name's Nate. I'm 32. And until recently, I was what you'd call the glue of the family, the organizer, the peacemaker, the wallet. Every year, I planned our annual family trip meticulously. I'd scout out the best deals, book the house, build the grocery list, and share a full schedule in our group chat weeks ahead of time. It wasn't just about the trip. It was my way of holding everyone together, of keeping that flicker of connection alive even when the rest of the year was full of one-word replies and seen messages. But this year hit different. It started small, like most things do, a missed reply here, a vague "we'll see" from my brother Tyler when I sent out the dates. My mom said she wasn't sure if she could make it, and my sister Lacey just heart-reacted the message. No actual response. Still, I figured they were just busy that once they saw the house I found, 3 bedrooms, oceanfront, fully stocked kitchen, deck with a view, they'd rally. I even went early that Friday morning, picked up groceries for everyone's dietary preferences: Tyler's keto phase, Lacey's gluten-free obsession, Mom's almond milk, and chilled the wine they liked. I sent a photo in the group chat when I arrived. We're all set. Can't wait to see everyone. No response. Not for an hour, not for 2. Then, as I was unpacking the last grocery bag, I got a ping. Tyler had posted on Facebook a picture of a cozy-looking cabin tucked in the woods, everyone smiling in flannel: Mom, Dad, Lacey, even Lacey's boyfriend I barely knew. The caption read, "Family weekend. So lucky to spend it with the people who matter most." My phone slipped from my hand onto the kitchen counter. I just stood there. You know that feeling when you've walked into a room expecting laughter, expecting love, and instead you get silence? That kind of quiet that's so loud it makes your teeth ache? That was me in that moment. Surrounded by a stocked fridge, an itinerary I'd spent weeks refining, extra towels folded for guests who'd never arrive. No one had said a word. No change of plans. No "hey, we're doing something else this year." They just cut me out. And it wasn't the first time. Not really. There had been signs, like when they forgot to loop me in on Thanksgiving plans 2 years ago and claimed it was a last-minute thing, or how they always managed to schedule family game nights on days I had work or travel, then posted about how perfect the whole family was together. I told myself they were just unorganized, that they didn't mean to leave me out, but you can only pretend so long before the truth punches through the excuses. That night, I sat on the deck, staring at the waves. Phone dark, heart heavier than I expected. I wasn't sad, exactly. I was numb and tired. Tired of being the one who always tried, always gave, always made it easy for them to treat me like an optional extra: the guy who funded Christmas gifts for the kids, the one who covered the Airbnb last year when no one could afford to split, the one whose Netflix account had 5 profiles, none of them his. And in that moment, I didn't cry. I didn't shout. I just made a decision. The next morning, I brewed a full pot of coffee, poured 1 cup, and sat down at the kitchen table. I opened my laptop and typed up a receipt: itemized, calm, professional. The cost of the house, the groceries, the supplies, even the welcome basket I'd put together with local soaps and treats. I attached it to a group email. Subject line: this year's trip costs recap. No message, just the total and a gentle reminder to Venmo me by the end of the week. Then I opened my phone. Netflix, log out of all devices, change password. Disney Plus, remove all profiles, change email. Spotify family plan, cancelled. Amazon Prime, removed household members. My credit card disconnected from everyone's Apple Pay. Even the emergency card I'd given Mom just in case gone. Then I logged into the Family Emergency Fund, a savings account I'd quietly been the main contributor to for the past 6 years: birthday money, side hustle checks, bonuses. Tyler had dipped into it for his car repair last spring. Lacey used it for rent when her internship didn't pan out. I moved the entire balance, every cent, into a new high-yield account in my name, and I left a sticky note on the old shared accounts dashboard: please contact the new account holder directly for access. Love, the guy who wasn't invited. The phone call started around noon. First, a text from Mom: "Hey, can we talk?" Then Lacey: "Why is the Disney Plus not working?" By evening, Tyler had tried calling twice. No voicemail, just hang-ups. I didn't answer. Not yet. Because for the first time in a long time I wasn't in fixer mode. I wasn't trying to smooth it over, to keep the peace, to make it easy for them to walk all over me. I was letting the silence speak, letting the absence of my generosity ring louder than any words I could have said. And then something unexpected happened. A knock on the beach house door. That's when I got up slowly, heartbeat rising, and checked the peephole. It was my mom. She stood there awkwardly, arms folded like she wasn't sure if she should knock again. Her expression wasn't quite guilt, not yet. It was the sort of look people wear when they expect you to apologize first, like you overreacted, like you were the one being dramatic. I opened the door slowly but didn't move to let her in. Just leaned against the frame and waited. She cleared her throat. "Hey, Nate." Her voice was soft, like she was trying out a tone she hadn't used in years. "Mind if I come in?" I didn't say anything, just raised an eyebrow and sipped the coffee in my hand, now cold. She fidgeted. "We didn't think you'd be up here already. I mean, we figured after last year, you might not even want to plan the trip again." Ah, so that was going to be the excuse. I finally spoke, voice calm. "I sent the schedule 3 weeks ago." You all heart reacted. No one said anything about a change. She looked down. "Well, Tyler found that cabin and everyone was excited. It just kind of happened." "I thought he told you." I laughed, just once sharp. "So now we're pretending Tyler was the messenger?" She looked up, flushed. "Look, I'm not here to argue. People are upset. You changed all the accounts and that emergency fund. Tyler said you took the whole thing. He's panicking. Lacey can't log into anything. And your dad was trying to order his meds, but the Amazon account dash." I held up a hand. "I didn't take anything. I moved my money. I shut down my subscriptions. And if the family emergency fund is such a lifeline, maybe someone else should have been contributing to it for once." She blinked. "That's not fair." "No," I said, louder now. "What's not fair is me spending thousands every year for people who treat me like the help. What's not fair is being left out of your so-called family weekend and finding out through a Facebook post. What's not fair is being expected to foot the bill and smile through it." She was quiet for a long moment. The waves behind her kept rolling in, calm and endless. I watched her chew her lip like she wanted to say something that would fix everything with one sentence, some magic apology that didn't exist. Instead, she said, "Tyler didn't mean to exclude you." "Then he shouldn't have," I replied. More silence. Finally, she asked, "What do you want, Nate?" "Really?" And for the first time in a long while, I knew the answer. "I want to not be the afterthought. I want someone else to pick up the slack. I want you to notice when I'm not there, instead of conveniently forgetting. I want a family that doesn't just use me when it's convenient." Her face twisted just a little. "We don't use you." "Really?" I said. "Who booked the Airbnb last year? Who paid for groceries when you said money was tight? Who covered the Christmas gifts when Lacey's card got declined? Who bought your anniversary dinner when Dad forgot the reservation?" She opened her mouth, then closed it again. I stepped back just enough to close the door gently between us. She didn't knock again. That night, I walked the beach alone under a heavy sky. My thoughts were a mess: regret, relief, sadness, freedom. Part of me wanted them to show up tomorrow with apologies and promises. Part of me wanted them to leave me alone for good. But the strongest part of me, the part that had been silent for too long, was just done. Done being the backup plan. Done being the bank. Done being invisible. The next day, Tyler called 3 times, then Lacey, then Mom again. I didn't answer, but then an unknown number rang. I picked it up without thinking, expecting a telemarketer. It wasn't. It was someone I hadn't heard from in almost 2 years. And the second I heard his voice, I realized everything I thought I knew about this family trip was about to unravel even more than I expected. Because apparently, I wasn't the only one they'd left out. And he wasn't staying quiet, either. "Hey Nate, it's Caleb." I hadn't heard that name in a while. My cousin Caleb and I used to be close growing up. We were the only 2 in the family who understood what it was like to be sidelined, spoken over, and quietly expected to sacrifice our time, money, or plans for the good of the group. But a couple years back, he started pulling away, didn't show up for Thanksgiving, skipped my mom's birthday dinner. I figured life had just gotten in the way. But now, hearing his voice, my gut told me something else had been going on. Caleb, I said cautiously. It's been a minute. Yeah, sorry to drop in like this, he said, his voice a mix of irritation and nervous energy. But I saw that picture Tyler posted. The cabin, the so-called family weekend. I'm guessing you weren't invited either? I leaned against the counter, heart picking up. Nope. I was sitting in a fully stocked beach house waiting for people who never planned to show up. He muttered something under his breath. Same here. Not the beach house part, but I offered to host this year. You know, I've got the space. I brought it up months ago, and your mom said it was a nice idea, but she wasn't sure they'd do the trip at all. I froze. Wait, so you were told there might not be a trip? He let out a dry laugh. Yep. I thought maybe it was just the usual flakiness. Then I saw the post, them all grinning like nothing was wrong, and I realized they're not just forgetful, they're excluding people on purpose. I felt something tighten in my chest. Caleb had always been a little more blunt than me. Where I tried to give people the benefit of the doubt, he saw the cracks early. But hearing him say it out loud that this wasn't an accident, that they'd not only cut me out, but him, too. I thought maybe I did something wrong, I admitted. I've been trying to hold things together for so long that I didn't even see it coming. He was quiet for a beat. No, man. You didn't mess up. They just decided you weren't useful enough anymore, or worse, that you'd stopped being easy to control. That hit harder than I expected. I thought about all the times I'd said yes when I wanted to say no. All the quiet sacrifices, the favors, the ignored birthdays, the one-sided group chats. I remembered how they treated Caleb, too, how they called him moody when he didn't laugh at Tyler's jokes, or difficult when he questioned how the family money was spent. Maybe we'd both been too quiet for too long. I did something, I said slowly, almost testing the words as I spoke them. After I saw the post, I shut it all down. The subscriptions, the cards, the emergency fund. Caleb gave a low whistle. Damn. Good for you. I didn't do it out of spite, I added. I did it because I finally saw how little they valued me when I wasn't footing the bill. You don't have to explain yourself to me, he said. Honestly, I've been waiting for someone to finally stop pretending everything's okay. They've been cutting people out one by one. Me, you, even Aunt Marie. You know, they didn't invite her to Thanksgiving last year. And when she called to ask why, your mom told her, we just assumed you'd be too tired. I sank into the kitchen chair, reeling. Aunt Marie was in her 60s and had always been the one to bring the pies, decorate the house, and write birthday cards by hand. If they could do that to her, they're shrinking the circle, Caleb said darkly. Down to the people who don't challenge them, who make them feel superior, who don't rock the boat. I swallowed hard. Well, they forgot one thing. What's that? I own the boat. That made Caleb laugh. You still got that beach house until Sunday? Yeah. Why? He paused for just a second. I'm 2 hours away. You up for company? I didn't even hesitate. Absolutely. 2 hours later, he showed up with a cooler of drinks, a stack of board games, and a grin that hadn't changed since high school. For the first time all weekend, I felt like I wasn't alone. We sat on the deck, watching the sunset bleed across the ocean, letting the silence say everything that didn't need to be spoken out loud. But inside, I could feel something shifting. I wasn't just done with how they treated me. I was ready to rewrite the story. And apparently, I wasn't the only one. Because the next morning, something new appeared in the family group chat. A screenshot from Lacey. The caption read, "So, who told Caleb and Nate they weren't invited?" And underneath it, a single word reply from my dad, "Wasn't my call." I stared at the message on my phone, watching the dots bounce under Lacey's name like they were trying to drum up the nerve to finish a sentence that could crack the whole thing open. The next message came a minute later. Seriously, this isn't okay. Did anyone even think to tell them? Silence. Then my mom finally replied, "We didn't want drama. Things have been tense with Nate for a while. And Caleb, well, he made it clear he didn't really want to be part of things anymore." I let out a quiet breath. There it was. Not a real apology, just the kind of sanitized, passive-aggressive explanation that sounds reasonable until you remember the context, until you remember you were the one standing in a fully stocked beach house while your family left in a cabin without you. Caleb leaned over to look at the screen. Classic, he muttered. Throw a little vague shade and hope everyone just nods along. But Lacey, for all her flaws, surprised me. Tense? You mean when he paid for everything last year and you didn't even say thank you, or when he bought the gifts, covered the Airbnb, set up the schedules, and you all made fun of him for being too organized? My dad replied next, which was even more surprising. Let's not act like this wasn't planned. We excluded Nate and Caleb. It was a group decision. Don't rewrite it now. My hands clenched around my coffee cup, not just because he admitted it, but because of how cold it was. How factual. Like they'd held a family meeting and decided the two of us no longer fit the aesthetic. And for what? For being stable. For not needing handouts. For not pretending everything was perfect just to keep up appearances. Caleb looked at me. He just owned it. Yeah. So what now? That question hit different now that I wasn't alone. I'd spent the past year holding on to some idealized version of my family, thinking if I did just enough, gave just enough, tolerated just enough, they'd see me, maybe even appreciate me. But the truth was, they saw me just fine. They just didn't think I'd ever push back. That night, I typed a message in the family group chat, thanks for the clarity. I'm glad to know where I stand. For years, I've gone out of my way to support all of you financially, emotionally, practically. But this padash. End of provided script. If you need the rest punctuated, just let me know. Throwaway, shortened for character count. For context, I had been married to my husband for just over 20 years. We started dating when my stepkids were 5 and 3. Our kids are, Adam, 28, stepkid number 1, Ben, 26, stepkid number 2, Charles, 20, David, 17, and Ellie, 13. Adam is getting married at the end of summer to his fiancée Alice, 27. We have all been very excited for them. All of the kids have roles for the wedding. Charles is the best man, the other 2 boys are groomsmen, and Ellie is a JR bridesmaid. Last weekend we had a dinner for my husband's birthday, all of the kids attended along with Alice. The topic of the wedding came up again, and this is where it started to go downhill. Ellie brought up that she was so excited to go dress shopping and that we planned to go to a bigger city in a few weeks to get her a dress and me a stepmom of the groom dress. At that, Alice looked at Adam sideways and responded that we only needed to worry about one dress, Ellie's. Ellie kind of laughed and said, "What are you expecting Mom to wear? A suit?" Alice responded with, "My name isn't going. You know we are keeping our guest list very limited to only family and a few close friends." What? Adam and Alice have been to our house numerous times for holidays, dinners, just to say hi since they've been engaged. This has never been brought up. Pretty quickly things escalated. The Cliff Notes version is that Charles asked them to clarify if they were choosing to uninvite me now or if I was never invited. Alice confirmed the latter. Why? Adam said it's because I'm not his mom. Charles, David, and Ellie argued with Adam and Alice that none of them were going to go if I wasn't invited. That it was cruel to leave me out given I've been his parent for a majority of his life and loved him like my own. My husband and I admittedly sat there for a minute just fucking shocked. Adam finally turned to my husband and said, "Well?" My husband told him he wouldn't be going either. Adam then turned to me and asked if I was really going to let everyone ruin his wedding on my behalf. Here's where I might be the asshole, I just laughed. What came over me, but the entire thing was just so ridiculous that laughing was the only thing I could get out. I told my husband I'd be waiting in the car and left. And then promptly bawled my eyes out. Anyways, Charles, David, and Ellie are not talking to Adam. Adam called my husband yesterday to try and smooth things over. He was still adamant I'm not invited and it's their wedding. He also requested I apologize for laughing at him. My husband told him tough shit. It's their wedding and they can invite whoever they want, but they can't control who will actually go. He said they owe me an apology and that Adam should be ashamed of himself. I'm getting texts now asking WTF I did and why I'm being a stepmonster and ruining the wedding AITA.